Atypical quick little video for BOMISpirit, and I debated about even doing this, but I learned something recently that I think may help people who are in a similar boat. And who knows, maybe I'll start a second channel of just random shit that I just think is going to be helpful to share with people. But for right now, this is going here. So a lot of you know I've been on a hair care journey for quite a bit. I mean, my whole life I've been on a hair care journey. If you have curly hair, you've been on a hair care journey your entire life. It just is what it is. But in recent years, I've been dealing with some personal challenges with that. And I've been experimenting a lot, especially with like natural hair care products. And I have learned something about low porosity hair and apple cider vinegar recently. And so if you have low porosity hair and you're struggling, maybe this will help you, maybe not, I don't know, but I'm gonna share what I learned. So if you are not familiar with what low porosity hair even is, so every strand of hair that everyone has cuticles around it. Cuticles are just like the outer layer of the hair, and it's like I believe they're described as like flaky layers, like almost like a pseudo skin for the hair strand, I think is a good way to describe that. And you can even think about it akin to pores, I would say. To an extent, I don't know. I feel like that's actually not the greatest analogy, but anyway, if you have low porosity hair, the cuticles around your hair strand are really tight, which is what makes your hair so low in porosity, right? If you have something that's high in porosity, it can absorb really easily, like a sponge has high porosity, right? So if you have low porosity hair, your hair ain't like a sponge. It's hard for product to be absorbed and it's hard to cleanse the hair thoroughly. Um, so that being said, let's get into a little bit of more context about this with apple cider vinegar and as to why you should probably be careful using apple cider vinegar if you have low porosity hair. Now, before I go further, I am not a hair care professional. I am not a cosmetologist. I did not go to school for that. This is just stuff I've been learning in my own time, on my own little journey. Do your research as always, because everyone's hair is always so unique anyway. Okay. But now you know about cuticles and low porosity versus high porosity. Now, you can open those cuticles, right? There are ways to open the cuticle. There are also ways to close the cuticle. And with apple cider vinegar is one of those things that can influence that. Okay. Now, because of its pH level, actually, which I thought was really interesting. So, everyone's hair, I'm going to say everyone, but on average, the pH level for a hair strand is like 4 or 4.5 on the pH scale. I would consider that to be slightly acidic. It's not basic. Like, I would say basic is like 7. It's actually probably more neutral on the pH scale. But anyway, hair strands are slightly acidic, 4 or 4.5 pH. Apple cider vinegar is like a 2 or 3, so it's more acidic than an average person's hair strand. Okay. Now, cuticles actually open up to higher pH level substances, and they close to lower pH level substances, aka acidic substances. So, apple cider vinegar can close cuticles. For most people, they close cuticles. So if you have low porosity hair and you're doing apple cider vinegar rinses like right before you shampoo, most likely you're actually closing your cuticles even more so, making it even harder for stuff to get up in there in the way that you're looking for. And I'm not saying apple cider vinegar is bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't use it. I'm just saying be aware of what your hair type is and where in your process you're using apple cider vinegar. Because apple cider vinegar being able to actually close cuticles can also be helpful knowledge to know or to have if you want to close your cuticles at the end of your hair care process, which leads to less frizziness, more shine, more smoothness, which is always really nice. Apple cider vinegar can be a great clarifier for the scalp, but just be very careful of what it's doing with your hair. So again, if you have low porosity hair, be mindful about how you're opening your cuticles in the very beginning of your hair care process, especially before shampooing. And you can, obviously there's also like products that are more basic, like a high pH level that can do that for you. You just have to do some research and figure out what works for you. But yeah, that's my little PSA for people who have low porosity hair and who are working with apple cider vinegar, or you're thinking about it, or you've been using it and it hasn't exactly been to your liking. Maybe this helps you, maybe not, but maybe it does. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. Hope you guys have a great night and take care.